So right now, I have windows. And now I don't.
So about these big old back windows. This was probably my number one van build mistake, was not covering these from the start. So that's what I'm here today to do. I'm going to cover them, insulate them, add a little bit more storage to this van, and just make it a little bit more robust, as I plan to spend a little more time in here than originally intended.
Okay, so I'm out here in the van, and these windows are my back two side windows. I'm going to cover them up. So right now I have them open, and I have these Reflectix shades that I put in. It's all right, but when I designed this van, I made it as like kind of a camping rig. I thought I was going to camp in here, not spend like long it wasn't going to be super long steady living in type situation. But now with some news that I've gotten in my work life, I'm probably going to spend a lot more time out here, so I want to make it more robust. So I'm going to replace these shades with a more permanent solution. So yeah, I'll just get right to it. So basically this window here, I'm going to cover up fully in like rigid foam insulation, the pink stuff. Cover it up with Reflectix insulation. And then I'm going to cover this whole panel with more brick. So it'll be a permanently covered window. It should be better insulated and just more robust. Like, it just needs a better solution. So when I have extended time, it'll hold up better, insulated better. It's just better all around. And these windows, like, it's nice to have them. And when I bought this van, I thought it would be like a positive to have all the extra windows. But realistically, this one I keep covered a lot of the time. And I have all these other windows, so it doesn't really matter if I lose this one. And the one on this side here, this one I leave my cover on almost exclusively. So, you know, I don't even know why it's not. I should have done it to start. Realistically, it would have been cheaper and easier to do it from the start, but I wanted windows. Now I don't. I'm going to cover them up. So I'm just going to get to it. Go cut some foam. Put her up. Okay, so I'm in here in the garage. And I got this big old piece of foam board. And I got it painted black. I had to paint it black so when you look through the window, you don't see pink foam. I think it just looks terrible. So painted it black. One thing I will say, I painted the side with writing on it, and if you look closely, you can sort of see the writing. So you're better off painting the empty side, which sounds obvious, but I wanted to use this side to draw on. I didn't want any vision impairments, and like it is going through a tinted window, so it doesn't much matter. But anyways, I'm just gonna cut out with my already made templates for my windows. I'm gonna cut out the pieces, put them up to block the window, cover it with some Reflectix, cover it with the Reflectix insulation, and then my brick panels. Got everything here. So I'm just gonna march ahead, start cutting some foam.
Obviously pretty simple here. I'm just cutting this foam to fit. I put it in the window and I get it as tight as I possibly can, because when I'm going to go ahead and silicone this on, I want it to be permanent, but it holds it really tight as is, so it should be good.
Okay, I got this silicone to the windows, totally blocking it off. Paint on the other side looks good from the outside. And then I got some foam here taped over it just to hold this tight, but it is a press fit into this window, so it is nice and tight in there. So I'm just going to let this dry. And one more thing I'm going to do before I get out of here. I'm going to take this door panel off, because I'm going to rig up a little storage space in this window. So take this off. Sweet.
This is just a simple little project to do while I wait for my glue to dry. I basically took my door panel and I drilled a bunch of little holes all around the window, and then I strung some elastic rope that I purchased on Amazon. I got about 50 feet, and I just winded it through. I tied knots on the end, and I basically made it into a cargo net. I thought this was a great little use of space, and pretty simple, and a good way to let glue dry.
So this here is the finished product of the little net cubby. I think this thing would be pretty sweet. I could put, well, this is a little heavy, but, you know, I could put something in there, hang it out. And I was thinking more for, like, you know, jacket, blanket, shoes, sandals, because not only could it sit in here, it could also sort of have a little bit of, like, airflow and drainage, like, to get something dry. And while I was at it, off camera, I made this little storage box to go on top of my other storage box, just so I could put, like, say, flashlights, keys, whatever, stuff in there. And then I left enough room here so I can fit my shades on, which will, same as this one, I could easily put my shade in behind it and then hold it tight. And I actually think I'm going to make better shades, but more on that later. The silicone is somewhat dry. I think it was a little too cold to fully dry, so I'm just going to leave it a little bit longer. It's now daytime. It is theoretically warming up, but I might have to put a heater in. Anyways, it doesn't really matter. I'm going to tape in my Reflectix. Just tape it on, cover up, and tie it down into there. Tie it in with all my other insulation. And same with this one. And yeah, just gonna add the Reflectix, tape it in. I already have my wall panels made. I did that at night, so it was dark. But I have my wall panels made, so those are gonna go up. But first, I just gotta tape in some insulation and go from there.
So I think the dual layers of insulation is actually going to do pretty great service here. The foam board itself has an R value of 3, and when you pair that with the Reflectix, there's enough R's to make a pirate happy. But in all seriousness, I think covering these up with insulation is actually going to make quite a bit of difference. Obviously, I have 4 other windows that are going to be wide open, but I ain't talking about them right now.
So here we are, back in the van. This panel here used to be a window. Now it is totally done. And I think it looks pretty good. I have obviously this little pocket here where I could put things like my cell phone, hypothetically. And then I have these, which is just elastic cord. And I feel like I kind of envision sticking like my raincoat. Sorry. Like just, you know, stick things in there and just have them like hanging. I'm thinking like sticking a raincoat, gloves, socks, whatever, just kind of tuck it behind. I thought it'd be a little bit more utility than just another pocket. Because over here, on this side, this is the other window that's now been covered. I'm gonna put 2 more pockets on here. And then some D-rings. So on top of this thing, I can put a cargo net over it to hold some more stuff down. But I'm going to have to re-engineer this a little bit from where, the way it was set up before. Before, in my drawer, I had this set of 2x4s in there, which I used to hinge off the back. But now that's going to be out. So I actually made this. It's a bigger storage now because there's no 2x4s in there. And I covered it with some insulation. Basically just to keep it off the wood. So I thought it was better. I'd expect no insulation value out of that. But anyways, so I'm going to have to trim up my pieces a little bit. I think that one I might have to touch firmer. And this countertop here is going to have to hinge on the back on the bricks. And I'm going to have to trim a little piece off. So that's what I'm actually going to go do, is trim some of the back off to make it fit, and then we're gonna keep going. So here we are with the finished product. I attached all these D-rings up here. So I have a cargo net that I can strap things on, which I'll show you with some stuff strapped on, which is obviously not an ideal spot, because I have my storage here, and then I'm gonna have storage on top. But I realize, like, if I'm spending a long time in this, like if I'm gonna be living in this over the summer while I'm unemployed, I'm gonna need as much space as possible to store stuff. So that was part of the reason. So here we are. Yeah, got more storage, both sides. Got my trim work all finished up. I think it looks good. It's a little bit more robust. So that's that. That's the end of this episode.